Hello everyone, this is Raghav and today I will be presenting you my DevOps project. So in this project I have implemented a complete DevOps pipeline using GitHub, AWS CLI, IAM, Terraform, Docker, DockerHub, AWS EC2 instance and then Jenkins. So coming to the steps which I started was, so there was a repo given to me where I forked my repo to my repository, and from my repository I cloned it to my local system. So using this URL, HTTPS URL, I cloned it to my local system, and so that I can work on this project independently and helps me to manage this. So this is the project which I've cloned. So this contains front end, back end, and those environments which was necessary to to install these dependencies, etc. So our main objective was to create those infrastructure in this project. So before going to the infrastructure, so I have installed those Amazon command line interface so that I can execute this command. So you can see that I have installed those AWS CLI, and I'll be entering here my secret key which will give access to my key, to my location, to my source, etc. So I have installed those AWS CLI. So and then before going to the Terraform, I've also created an instance IAC. Just I'll show you. So this is what AWS CLI platform looks like, and yeah. So I've given some access. There are certain policies where I have given access to this. Just a second, it is loading. So I'll click on IAM before going to the Terraform. So you can see this. So the IAM is loading, and then the number of users here, the number of policies which I've done, and those things are given here. So there are 5 roles, and coming to the user, so you can see what all roles I've given, so what are policies. So this is a Terraform user which I've created there, and this will have certain permissions and credentials. So this will have those policies name which I've selected: DynamoDB, EC2 instance, S3 full bucket, VPC, and IAM full access. So after creating this, I've gone to the Terraform. So basically, so designing the architecture. So I have created a Terraform repository in the root repository. So this Terraform contains those folders which are necessary to set up those environments in the AWS CLI. It might be a bucket, it might be an instance, it might be a VPC, sort of that. So this will have those necessary things which are required to create those. So the commands which were used to execute are Terraform init, just a second, yeah, terraform init, terraform terraform init, and reconfigure is used once it is initialized and you have some changes. And then after the terraform init, so this initializes those terraform thing, and then terraform plan, and finally is terraform apply, terraform apply. So these are the basic commands which I've used. So and also I've created a bucket using those AWS CLI where I have executed to create those buckets with the bucket name, such as the command here goes like this: AWS S3 API create bucket name, sort of that. From this I have created a bucket. So I'll show you the bucket storage and structure, what type is it occupying. So in this Terraform, so in this environment I've set up the dev environment and the production environment and the staging environment. So these all have those necessary documents which are required. So I'll be talking about those Terraforms in the production. So coming to the production, so we have in a description called a string, etc, etc, and then coming to the backend, so this will have those regions, production, Terraform, sort of like that. And this main cons and this consists of the instance type. So the instance type here is T3 micro. So these all are the necessary things which are required to create those environment present in the Terraform. So once the Terraform is created, then the infrastructure which is been ready is created. So this might be those VPC or a subnet or an internet gateway or a route table or a security groups or a EC2 instance. So these all are being created with the help of Terraforms. So I'll show you that. So we have created an instance using the Terraforms. So you can see those instances which are created. So I'll show you the instances which is been created by using Terraform. So these are the instances which we have created. So each will have its own public IPv4 address. So the one which we'll be using is prod, which is in production environment, prod EC2 instance which is running and occupying t3.small, so which has got 2 cores, and I have made the storage of this to 20 GB so that it will be able to handle those large storage and a good amount of RAM is present. So this is my public IPv, and then I have created those key name so that I can access it through my AWS CLI through my terminal. So with the help of this key, from this, by creating this key, you'll get an .pm folder. From this .pem folder, once you go to the location and add those ssh command and come into your Ubuntu thing, so you will be getting this thing. So once you have done with those key value thing, and you'll be able to use this AWS CLI inside your local system instead of going to those console and doing that. So I can show you what all permissions and IAM access I've given. Just a second. Yeah. So this is my public IPv4 address for the prod EC2. And coming to the security groups which I've given access is, so it runs basically of 5 ranges of port, which is port 80, 80, 80. This is for the Jenkins, and 3000 is for the front end, and 8000 is for back end. You can edit this using those security groups. So if you want to edit those security groups, you can edit it. So for now, I will be using the Terraform, the last user which is present. This is Terraform. So I'll be using this user, and where I can edit those inbound rules. So if I want to add some port numbers with those custom TCP, I can do that. So to create those key value pairs, I can use this to create those key value pairs. This will get downloaded by you default in .pm, and in that .pm you have to run ssh -i those commands public URL at the public IPv4 address. So this will create you an instance here. So after this basic setup is done, now we'll come to the Docker. So I've done the initial Docker setup by installing all the Docker necessary requirements in my system. So the main thing which I've done is creating a Docker file in the front end, creating a Docker file in a backend. So I'll show you that. So we have created a Docker file. So this Docker file tells us that what all necessary conditions were needed to run this, and the requirements, and how do you do this, and which part, and what are the commands which you run. So this is a Docker file to the backend, as backend is mainly in Python. So as it is written in fast API. Coming to the front end, as front end is written in Next.js, so we have to check it from node version and copy, and then the commands to run and which port number which is there. And we have this docker compose.yml file, so which is used to combine both those docker files which is present in front end and back end, and to run it as one. So I will show you those commands which I've done to run this command. So what we do is, like, we build those images in the front end and back end. So docker build is used to build those images. -t is the tag given to the image which can be uniquely identified. So this is the image which we have built in the front end. And coming to this docker build, so this is used to build that, and -t is the tag, unique tag, which is being given to those and can be accessed through the backend, and this is the folder front end. So after once you've done those building, you have to combine both of these. So this Docker Compose up minus D is being used to combine both of these, and by combining both of these, you'll get created these things, the front end images and a backend and sort of that. So this Docker PS is used to know those commands, those port numbers, when was it created with those unique ID, sort of that. So once this Docker PS is queen created, so we will be knowing that what all things in with port number it has been using. So after that, after creating this, so this images will be stored locally. So see, you can see those containers occupying those space, sort of that, like that. So now what we have to do is like we have to push these images from the local to the Docker Hub. So what I'll be doing is I'll be running Docker Hub, Docker login. So as I have already logged giving my credential and all, I do not have to log in it again and again. So after login, I will push these images from my local to the Docker Hub. So Docker push the tag name which is being used with the latest, which the latest image is being used to push those images. And similarly for the front end also, docker push is the main command, and this is the tag which is been uniquely identified to push those things. So you can see this in the Docker Hub. I can show you. So I had pushed those things recently. Yeah, in the repository in the Docker Hub, you can see that those changes which I've done is been available in the Docker Hub. So what our next thing is, we have pushed our commands to the Docker Hub. So next thing is that going to the EC2 instance which has been created by this IP, public IP. So what we'll do is like it is like SSH minus. So I'm currently in my EC2 instance. It is just for running you the command. So it is SSH. Just a second, guys. Okay, I'll run it. It is SSH minus I DevOps. So this is the unique key which I've done, DevOps key, and .pem. Remember this, you must be in correct location where you had done actually. .pem folder, ubuntu ubuntu at your public IPv address which is visible here. This is those public IPv which I'll be showing you. So this is the public IPv for which I've seen that. So after running this, so I'm currently in my Ubuntu thing, so I'll not, so I'll check that. See, I'll show you that. So yeah, okay, it's fine. So what I'll do is once I'll get into my EC2 instance, so now I'll have to pull those images. So I have to pull those images from the Docker Hub. So I will be using those commands to pull those images from the Docker Hub to the EC2 instance. So EC2 instance like is like a VM where it has Docker and sort of that. So I'll have to pull it. So I'll be using those commands, Docker pull. This is the unique tag which is been given and is present in the Docker Hub. So with this, I'll be able to pull those local images which is present from the Docker Hub. And similarly to the front end, I will be also pulling it. So once after pulling this, I will be running those commands. Docker run, since already my port is running, so this is giving me an error. So I'll show you the port. So with those public URL, you will be able to access those front end. See, you can see this port number at 3000 with the same IP address which is present in this 13.232.191.129. See, with the same URL, you are able to see this. So this is the front end part and this is the back end. So this contains those docs. This is a Swagger docs which is used to run. So after this, you have completed this, and you'll be able to see those. You can run this using these URLs. So after completing this, you can see those. It is running successfully. So after doing that, coming to the EC2 instance. So now I have to set up the Jenkins. So which is like CI/CD. So I will be running those commands such as docker run minus d minus p. So which I've already set. I'll show you. The Jenkins is already running on this port number at 8080. So I have to log in admin and admin, and then keep me. I'll go signed in. Just a second. So I have logged into this. So this will give you my Jenkins interface which is present, which is running at port 8080. Just a second, guys. I don't know what happened. I'll just refresh it. Okay. What happened? Wait, we'll try to open it again. Okay. Yeah. So this will give me the dashboard which is present. Okay. So this is the Jenkins dashboard which I've set up inside the EC2 instance. So I have created a new build history with those configure, installing all those plugins, manage plugins, sort of that. So I have created a new plugin where I have created those pipelines, and okay, I'll just show you for the representation, and I'll create a pipeline. So if I click on OK, so this will go to that, and I can add my requirements what all I have, and then in this I have given those polls come. What it will do is like it will try to check those GitHubs every two like it will try to check the GitHub if there are any pushes, or that it will check that. So for that I've given the values h by 2. So what this h by 2 will do is like it will check the GitHub for every 2 minutes. So and then here I will be running my script. So from this script, this is what basically it will go to the DockerHub, download those images, and then check it, sort of like that. So which I've already done those steps. So I'll go to the main folder. So where, okay, we'll delete this. Okay. Okay, we'll go to this DevOps pipeline. Okay, what I'll do is like I'll push some code over here. Okay, I'll make some changes in the README file, and I'll try to add something over here. So we'll add DevOps assignment 1. So once I've added those DevOps assignments, so now I will be pushing the code git add dot, and then git commit -m, and then add some messages. So this would be readme file changes for testing Jenkins. So and then I'll be pushing it git push origin main. So I will be pushing this code to my local GitHub repository. So let's try out how this Jenkins will work. Okay, so I've pushed this to my local repository. So where you can see those things, I'll refresh it. You can see those recently committed changes. Okay, so you can see this recently committed changes. So this was now, and then now I'll come to my Jenkins where you can see. So there, okay, we have no builds right now, so let's wait for some times. So the Jenkins will try to identify those changes for every 2 minutes. So if there are any changes, it will try to update it within 2 minutes, and it will try to build it automatically. So let us wait for a second. So let's see how our Jenkins will do that and will take the build. Yeah, so this is a Jenkins interface which I had built. So I had installed those necessary plugins which are necessary, such as GitHub integration, Docker file, and then the necessary things which were required to set up those Dockers, and the CI/CD pipelines. So wait, let's see. So I have committed this. I'll refresh it once. Just a second. I'll refresh it. Yeah, let's wait for some time. So let's see if it's builds on its own or not. So we have pushed it, we have pushed the readme file to our local repository. So it is 1 minute ago, so we have to wait for at least 2 minutes to check those changes. So as it will test for every 2 minutes. So this is how I have integrated it. So what I've done is like I have installed the Jenkins part in the EC2 instance. So so there is Docker present in EC2 instance. So inside the Docker there is Jenkins. So what the Jenkins will do is like, so Jenkins will go to the Docker, search, pull those latest images. See, you can see that. So there is a build for which is coming in, so which has been building automatically without any interface, like without any interference. So this is the build which happens. So this helps me to integrate those CI/CD things. So what the Jenkins will do is like, so it will try to pull those images which is present in the Docker latestly, and then try to apply those git clone commands, build commands, and those changes which were done. So the build was successful, and let's see here. So we'll go to our dashboard. See, you can see 4th March, see the time is the same. So I've builded this. So coming to the dashboard, DevOps pipeline. So this will give me the latest, see the last build, last table build, and this was successful. So this tells me that where we have integrated those CI/CD pipelines. So if there are any changes in the GitHub, so this Jenkins will keep on updating for every 2 minutes and then check it. So what does Jenkins do is like, if there are any changes, it will go and check those, and it will clone those repositories and then do that. So I will show you those configurations which I've done. So I have written those poll CM, so which will go to the GitHub and do that. So instead of that, we could have used those web sockets. For now, I have used this. So instead, inside this, I have defined a pipeline script. So where the main aim is to clone the repository from this branch and to build those images, backend image, to build this front end image, and go to the, I have given those login credentials for Jenkins to log in my default account and push those images to the, and pushing those images from the local to the Docker Hub, and from the Docker Hub we'll be able to access it using the EC2 instance. So this was the one which I've done. So, and see, so the build was successful. So this is basically a full stack project, DevOps project which I've done. Thank you.